Mostly it is loss which teaches us about the worth of things. Arthur Schopenhauer. You've been told that love is the answer, that if you find the right woman, everything will fall into place, that she'll complete you, that her loyalty will heal your wounds. But look around. How many men believed that story and ended up lost, heartbroken, bitter, forgotten? It's not because they were weak. It's because they were lied to, not just by women, by biology. Maybe you're one of them. Maybe you gave everything, your time, your focus, your soul, just to be left wondering what you did wrong. Maybe she said you were too nice or that she needed space. And now you're sitting with questions that no one seems willing to answer. Why did she change? Why did the love fade? Why do you feel like you were never enough, even when you gave her your all? This isn't just confusion. It's betrayal disguised as normal. But here's the truth. Once you understand what love really is, why it feels like this, and what you're actually up against, the pain begins to make sense. And once it makes sense, it stops controlling you. Love isn't what you think it is. It's not sacred. It's not pure. It's not even about connection. It's instinct wearing a pretty face. When you lock eyes with her and feel that fire, that need, that obsession, your body isn't recognizing a soulmate. It's reacting to signals, her youth, her curves, her softness. Evolution doesn't care about your emotions. It cares about reproduction. And here's the catch. Her attraction works the same way. But she's not looking for romance either. She's scanning for strength, stability, and advantage. It's not personal. It's biological warfare disguised as intimacy. Schopenhauer didn't write to shame you. He wrote to free you. Because until you understand what love really is, it will always control you. It will use your dreams against you. It will turn your loyalty into weakness, and it will reward your devotion with emptiness. Here's the first brutal truth. The more you believe love is pure, the more power you hand over without even knowing it. You've been told relationships are built on fairness, that if you're loyal, kind, consistent, she'll appreciate you, respect you, choose you. But you already know that's not how it works, because deep down you've seen the pattern. Women don't fall for logic. They follow instinct, and instinct doesn't care about fairness. It only cares about survival. A woman's attraction isn't a choice, it's a reaction. While you're imagining love as something noble, her brain is scanning the environment like radar. She's not asking, is he good to me? She's asking, can this man protect me, elevate me, and give me better options than the rest? If the answer is no, consciously or not, she checks out. Schopenhauer saw this clearly. He wrote that love is not guided by reason, but by nature's agenda. Women are biologically designed to prioritize status, strength, and advantage, not because they're cruel, but because for thousands of years their survival depended on it. A woman who chose poorly didn't suffer emotionally. She died, and that instinct didn't vanish. It adapted. That's why the man who brings consistency gets ignored, while the one who stays detached becomes magnetic. Why the stable provider gets left behind, while the chaotic leader gets chased. Why she says she wants kindness, then falls for arrogance. You're watching nature at work. And unless you understand that, you'll keep playing a game with the wrong rule book. This isn't about hating women. It's about seeing clearly. Your devotion doesn't register unless it comes from a position of strength. Your loyalty is only valued if it's a choice, not a desperate plea. The truth is harsh. In her eyes, your emotional availability means little if you don't first trigger respect. Without that, everything else is noise. So stop asking why she lost interest. Stop asking why your consistency wasn't enough. Start asking what value you were signaling, because women don't choose with logic. They select with instinct, and instinct doesn't care how nice you are, only how strong you appear. You worked for it. You earned her affection. You gave her consistency, love, time, everything you thought she wanted. And for a moment, it felt like it worked. She smiled more. She leaned in. She called you her man. You thought you had her, but then it changed. She stopped texting first. She became cold, less affectionate. You thought maybe she was just stressed. You doubled down, gave more, tried harder, and still she pulled away. that confusion you felt, that pain. Schopenhauer called it the tragedy of possession. The moment a man believes he's secured a woman, her instincts start to disengage. Why? Because the chase is over. The uncertainty is gone. And biologically, that means the thrill has expired. You thought commitment would deepen the bond. But what you didn't know is that desire isn't built on safety. It's built on challenge. Women don't lose interest because you were too kind. They lose interest because you became too predictable, too available, too invested. In her mind, you went from a prize to a possession. Schopenhauer saw this with brutal clarity. He warned that the more a man centers his life around a woman, the less she sees him as a leader, and the more she begins to test him, not with malice, but instinct, to see if the man who once made her feel alive still holds power, or if he's now just orbiting her gravity. The more you make her your purpose, the faster she becomes disinterested, not because she wants to hurt you, but because nature wired her to respect men who don't need her approval to breathe. You gave her your world, and in doing so, you told her she was the sun. No woman respects a man who orbits her. You thought love was about giving, about proving yourself, but the more you gave, the more she withdrew. Not because you weren't enough, but because you gave away what made you powerful: detachment, purpose, mystery. Here's the truth. The second you become emotionally dependent is the moment she starts looking for the man who isn't. She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't demand control. She doesn't need to. Her weapon isn't loud, it's invisible. While most men fight with action, women operate through influence. And the man who doesn't see this loses the battle before it begins. Schopenhauer described it with cold precision. Women don't overpower men, they redirect them through subtle cues, emotional shifts, and psychological pressure. Not because they're calculating, but because evolution trained them to survive without strength. And in a world where power meant protection, they learned to master the one arena men ignore: emotion. You think you're just being supportive. You think you're being kind, empathetic, loving. But the more you mold yourself around her needs, the more she loses respect. Not because she's cruel, but because biologically she's wired to follow a man's lead, not reshape him into hers. And when you start asking what will make her happy, instead of what life am I building, the balance shifts. You become the follower. She becomes the architect. That's when the tests begin. The compliance test. Will you abandon your priorities to accommodate her emotions? The frame test. Will you stay grounded when she becomes chaotic, or will you crumble under her storms? The investment test. Will you chase her harder than she chases you? Most men fail all three, not because they're weak, but because they never knew they were being tested in the first place. Schopenhauer warned, women are instinctively crafty, not from malice, but from necessity. The woman who couldn't read a man's value didn't survive, and that instinct remains. She watches how you react, how easily you're thrown off, how quickly you need her validation. And when she sees that you do, the attraction fades, quietly, permanently. You think you're showing love. She sees emotional dependence. You think you're proving loyalty. She senses weakness. And here's the truth no one dares to say. The more power she feels she has over you, the less interest she has in keeping you. You spent your life trying to win her over, to be chosen, loved, kept. But the more you gave, the more you bled. Not because women are evil, not because love is a scam, but because you were playing a game you didn't understand. Schopenhauer didn't write to make men bitter. He wrote to make them awake. The man who sees reality for what it is, not what he wishes it to be, stops reacting and starts building. And once you realize that female nature isn't personal, it's biological, you stop blaming and start strategizing. Here's the truth. You don't need to change women. You need to change how you respond to them. You stop expecting fairness. You stop craving validation. You stop offering your soul for something that was never built to carry it. Freedom begins when you stop asking, what does she want from me? And start asking, what do I want from life? Because when a man has no mission outside of a woman, he becomes a tool for hers. And the man who lives for female approval, he will die by her rejection. Schopenhauer said it simply, We forfeit 3/4 of ourselves in order to be like other people. Most men never become themselves. They become who they think women want them to be. Software safe, predictable. But women don't crave men who orbit their moods. They crave men who build their own world and invite her in only if she adds to it. So stop trying to be the man she wants. Be the man you respect, because the moment you no longer need her approval is the moment she starts offering it freely. And the men who truly thrive, they're not the ones who conquer women. They're the ones who conquer themselves. They don't chase attention. They command it. They don't argue with nature. They align with it and use it. You've been playing defense. It's time to take the ball back. Now you see it. The problem was never just them. It was the illusion you were sold, that your worth depends on how much love you can earn, how much you can give, how much you can sacrifice. But Schopenhauer didn't leave men hopeless. He left a path, a blueprint to rebuild yourself so that you never again become a slave to female approval. It starts with this: stop chasing happiness in someone else. The happiness which we receive from ourselves, he wrote, is greater than that which we obtain from our surroundings. That includes her, especially her. Your power begins the moment you stop needing to be chosen and start choosing yourself. There are 3 pillars that every man must build if he wants to become untouchable. 1. Economic sovereignty. A man without control over his money has no control over his time, his choices, or his freedom. Schopenhauer said money is human happiness in the abstract, not for what it buys, but for what it protects. You don't need riches, you need independence. 2. Philosophical depth. Most men live on autopilot, repeating what they're told. The awakened man sees through the noise. He reads, thinks, questions. He forms opinions based on truth, not trends. When your mind is sharp, manipulation fails. Emotional traps don't stick because you see them coming. 3. Physical mastery. Your body isn't just flesh, it's proof of your will. The man who trains, disciplines, and sharpens himself physically builds the same resilience emotionally. Weakness is never just physical. It leaks into how you lead, how you love, and how you live. This is where modern men go wrong. They look for peace in a partner instead of building it inside themselves. But once you become the source, everything changes. You're no longer chasing, you're choosing. You're not trying to impress. You're letting the world catch up. And if you've made it this far, maybe you're not like the rest. Maybe you're ready to stop begging for permission and start living with purpose. Subscribe, stay sharp. Your real life starts now.